Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. Hope you had a great weekend overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing and a little bit of MMA talk. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be speaking about Conor McGregor suffering a freak injury and his 5-year layoff, breaking his 5-year layoff against Max Holloway. We're going to be speaking about Ryan Garcia admitting, without him even noticing, to PED usage, that we're going to go ahead and get into some open boxing topics. But before we get into all of that, if y'all could please hit the like button on the way in, that'd be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,600 mark, looking to crack that 3,700 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. What's going on? What's going on, y'all? I already see a bunch of comments in the building thus far. Thank you very much for tuning in and supporting the channel. Shout out to everybody that's been hitting me up with the super chats, man. Even leaving comments with, leaving super chats in the comments when the live is over. Thank you very much. Shout out to everybody that's been leaving the cash apps. It's definitely much appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that was sending their support. Last night I wasn't able to go live because we had an amateur show out in the Northeast. You know what I mean? My fighter David Jacobs did come up short. It was a great competitive fight. Definitely was the fight of the night. I know exactly what needs to be done in order to, take his game to the next level. Very, very proud of his performance. He went up against a bigger, older guy. I mean, he just turned 18. So once you turn 18, you get in there with young adults, whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? He definitely did well. I thought he landed like the harder, cleaner shots and damn near stopped him in the last round. But regardless, there's still more work to do. You know what I mean? They're in the developmental stages of their amateur career. So, and he's a kid, man. That was his, 6th fight, 7th fight. So, we got a lot more room to grow. You know what I mean? And my dad's fighters, they got a lot to work on as well. But that's what we're here for as coaches, to get the shit done and continue to develop our fighters on a positive, on a positive type of time. You feel what I'm saying? So there's a lot that needs to be discussed. You know what I mean? I wasn't on live for the past 2 days. Thank you for everybody for their patience. Let me shout out everybody that's in the comments thus far. My boy Sean Terrence, what up? Josue Hernandez, what up? Justin Jackson, my OG Jerry, what up, bro? Good to see you, man. Chris Maldonado, Jay, what up? Marissa Alvarez, Teacher Selvin, what up, bro? I ain't talked to you in a minute, bro. I hope everything good with you and yours, man. You still out in DR? Let me know, brother. I think I already shouted out Josue. Des215. Yasir Ali. Lorenzo and the motherfucking Benzo. Showing love from out Tokyo. What's going on, brother? We global, man. We global. We got Dominican Republic in the building. We got Tokyo. Of course, we got Philly in the building. We got a whole lot of Philly in the building. We got Cali in the building. Come on, man. Claro que sí. I like it, man. You gotta hit me up on the socials, man. We gotta chop it up, man. But anyways, listen, good fights last night with the UFC. You know what I'm saying? I don't really watch too much, but I got a couple mixed martial artists, friends that are mixed martial artists, and they always keep me in the loop from what's going on. And I ain't gonna lie, that has been a little bit more encouraging to watch MMA. And I didn't get to watch the full card because, like I said, I was out watching I was attending to my fighters and stuff like that. But I was able to catch the co-main event. I did see Patty Donovan. See, I'm too caught up in this boxing shit, man. Patty the Baddie, whatever the fuck they call him. I don't know what his last name is. Patty, I called him Patty Donovan. That's crazy. That's how you know I watch boxing way too much. Patty, what's his last name, yo? The fuck is his name? Patty the Baddie. I know that's his nickname. Pinblade. Okay. Pinblade, whatever the case is. I seen him. I seen the boy attempt the man walk. Attempt to shoot a takedown. He just got him in a nasty choke. Okay, Patty Pinblade. That's good to know. Salute, y'all. Agent 86, what up? But yeah, man, that was a nasty choke, man. The fucking squeeze that he had on that motherfucker too is very impressive. And the dude went out. I'm glad that the referee noticed on time. You know what I'm saying? Because that could have been tragic if he held on a few more seconds. You know what I'm saying? So congratulations to Patty for that. You know what I mean? It looked like he's slowly but surely taking over throne for, I guess, Irish mixed martial artists. That's what it's looking like for me. I was pretty excited to see exactly what Max Holloway and Conor McGregor had in store, man. But you know, Conor McGregor looked like he was all right. You know what I mean? He was talking good shit in the whole lead up to the fight, pretty much saying that he was going to take him to a different place at 170 pounds. And Max Holloway didn't really know what he was up for. He beat him in the past, so he's going to beat him again. Because a lot of people don't even know that that was a rematch. You know, Conor McGregor in his younger days had actually defeated Max Holloway. You know, before Max became who he became, Conor McGregor had defeated him. So, you know, this was a rematch. And it was an interesting fight, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, Max Holloway is moving up to a weight class that's pretty much his walking around weight from what it looked like. You know, Conor McGregor's coming off of a 5-year layoff and a broken leg against Dustin Poirier. So it was interesting to see exactly how both of these guys were going to react to the weight class and the inactivity. So it was just so weird, man. First thing I noticed about Conor was how the way his face looked. It was pretty weird. I was mentioning it to myself. I was like, man, it's like, why does his face look so like swollen? Like, why does his face look so puffy? I thought that was very weird. I don't know if it was the additional weight. You know what I'm saying? Loki looked like some shit, like he had like an allergic reaction to some shit. You know what I'm saying? It was weird. You know what I'm saying? Josue Hernandez said, nigga, Patty got a bigger reaction than Conor from the crowd. Well, to be honest, you know, it's because Patty's been around more. You know what I mean? He got more momentum. You know, and I say this all the time, despite how big of a star you may become, over time, the longer you walk, you're away from the sport, the quicker these fans will forget about you. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like hilarious when guys like Floyd Mayweather say, oh, I'm still the face of boxing. Bro, no, you're not. Who told you that? That's what you want to believe. You still want to be the man, bro. People done been moved on from Floyd Mayweather. We appreciate what you've done. Yeah, you TBE. Yeah, you one of the greatest fighters of all time. But face of boxing, we not checking for Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Like, we checking for guys who's currently, you know, relevant. You know what I'm saying? Like Shakur, Dev, you know, Tank, Keyshawn, fucking Boots, and whoever the fuck is David Benavidez, whoever is currently relevant and operating at a high level, that's who we looking for. We're not looking for no Floyd Mayweather today. So I said all of that to say, Patty probably got a bigger reaction because, for one, Patty's been around more. You know what I'm saying? Like, Conor McGregor ain't been around in half a decade. That's a long time, man. That's a long time. So this was Conor McGregor's chance to earn the people's memory, to, you know, get back in their good graces. But unfortunately, you know, that's just not how it went. You know what I'm saying? That's just not how it went. You know, the fight ended almost immediately. Conor McGregor came out with a wild kick. I didn't notice while it was live that Conor McGregor had tweaked his knee or whatever the case is. After watching the replay, you could tell. But it was kind of weird because Conor McGregor had like a poker face, you know, and his body language didn't really look discouraged initially. So then he throws like a strike and then he falls, and I'm like, okay, maybe it was just a wet canvas. You know what I'm saying? But I do know that, like, in between rounds, they're drying the canvas and stuff like that. So I was like, maybe Conor McGregor's feet, you know, is wet or whatever the case is. I didn't know what it was. But then, you know, Max Holloway attempted to try to do some ground and pound. Conor McGregor's kick, you know, making it a little difficult, you know, shooting them kicks, you know, up top. So, you know, Max lets him get up, and then he does the same thing again, falls again. So I'm like, bro, what is going on with Conor? Like, what's up with his balance? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up with his balance? Yeah, Jerry, he did manage the pain well. Because he probably felt an excruciating amount of pain, and you could just, you couldn't tell. You know what I'm saying? But Conor McGregor has had his fair share of injuries, you know, in the octagon, outside of the octagon. So maybe he's just accustomed to being able to work through that feeling. But whatever the case is, I seen Max Holloway, like, trying to tell the referee, like, yo, because maybe he noticed it before we did. He like, yo, like, stop this shit, bro. Like, this dude he's not right. He was like, yo, like, I'm a fighter, I'm a killer, but at the end of the day, I'm a human being, and I didn't want to do that to him in front of his family. Like, he was in a real fucked up situation. He couldn't defend himself. So I seen Conor McGregor get up one more time, and then he did something and his knee buckled, and, you know, the referee made the right choice in calling the fight off, man. But, I'm gonna keep it real because I've never been like the biggest Conor McGregor fan or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But I do think it's a bit of unfair criticism that's coming Conor McGregor's way. People making fun of him and shit like that. Like, first of all, I mean, injuries is nothing to really. I don't think that's funny. You know what I'm saying? Now, I could dislike a motherfucker or whatever the case is. I mean, there's some exceptions to the rule, in my opinion. Like, if you like a fucking racist or somebody that's like a PED user, whatever the case is. I don't know Conor for being a racist. I don't know for being a PED user, although there is speculation out there, especially after the injury he sustained after Dustin Poirier. But, to my knowledge, I've never heard of him failing a drug test or anything like that. So, like, when I seen him, get that injury, I was like, damn, I was a bit upset. You know what I'm saying? So, it's messed up that it happened that way, man. We were definitely looking forward to seeing how the way that fight would have transpired. I don't think anybody had detected an injury prior to him stepping into the octagon. Now there's people coming out saying that he's been injured. And listen, whether he been injured or not, you know what I mean, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, he got injured in the octagon, and that's what, was a determining factor in Max Holloway walking away with the TKO victory. I do think the criticism from Conor McGregor is unfair. People making fun of him, talking shit about his performance. Bro, injuries happen whether we like it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether we like it or not, injuries do happen, and we can't make we can't decide when the injury is going to take place or not. So, salute to Conor McGregor, man. I mean, you came off of a 5-year layoff. Maybe your body wasn't accustomed to all of that movement. You know what I mean? Maybe your body isn't holding up, due to the wear and tear and the age and the inactivity that you've been, going through. Maybe it's that. Maybe it was just a fucking bad landing when you threw the kick because you were moving forward as you landed, on that, leg. And maybe that's what maybe tore your ACL or whatever the case is. I haven't heard a determining factor as to what the injury was, but most likely it's an ACL tear. Definitely blew his knee out. Very unfortunate situation, but I hope that Conor McGregor has a speedy recovery. I mean, I hope you have a speedy recovery, and you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, like, I wouldn't be totally against the trilogy between Max and Conor McGregor. Max isn't against the trilogy. I'm sure Conor would do the trilogy. He's too prideful to not do it. And I'm sure the UFC would do it because from what I understand, they had like 20K people in the arena. It's completely sold out. And they said they did close to like a $25 million gate. So, man, as long as you bring that trilogy around and you put another stacked undercard underneath that, they gonna do their numbers, man. Conor McGregor is a well-known guy. He's one of the biggest entertainers of this past, decade or two. And he gonna do numbers every time because he's an icon at this point. And maybe there'll be some type of curiosity, like, all right, he got injured in the rematch. He attended to that. He healed from that. Can he do something in the trilogy? You know what I mean? I had Max Holloway winning by knockout. I didn't think he would win that way. But regardless, man, the question that comes around now is it worth doing the trilogy? Is it worth doing the trilogy, or should Conor McGregor just call it wraps? Because I see a lot of people calling for Conor McGregor to just retire. You know what I'm saying? It's probably going to take if it's a complete tear or a worst case scenario, ACL tear, that's going to take like, that's going to require surgery, obviously. And, from what I've seen from like NBA players and shit, that takes like 6 months to heal from. And then you probably going to have to do another 6 months of physical therapy. Then you're going to have to get a fight date. And then, once you get cleared, you probably gonna have another 8 to 12 weeks to. That's a lot of time, man. That's a lot of time. One side of me is like, all right, man, like, you got some wear and tear. You up there in age. You've been very inactive. Your best years are behind you. You made a lot of money. You made great investments, right? So I guess right now wouldn't be necessarily a terrible time to walk away from the sport of MMA. The other side of me, however, is saying, do you really want to go out that way? Do you really want to go out that way? It wouldn't even necessarily have to be a Max Holloway trilogy. You know what I mean? Holloway could go ahead and, explore a different avenue. You know what I mean? He coming off a win against Conor McGregor. I'm sure there's going to be some money for him somewhere. Maybe it could be that Michael Chandler fight. That, because Michael Chandler keep taking L's back to back. Why not fight Conor McGregor? Conor McGregor ain't win a fight in like 6 years, since like 2020. So why not put them up against each other? And that'll be a good. I don't know if Conor McGregor will ever be a co-main event, but if it's a big card, maybe that could be a co-main event. Maybe Conor's too prideful for that. Yeah, I mean, he probably feel like he earned the stripes, and he ain't about to be a co-main event for anybody, and he just sell too much at the end of the day. So I think Conor McGregor is going to be a main event until he decides to hang up his gloves. But does Conor McGregor really want to go out that way? This nigga said Topuria or Justin rematch. I think you meant to say Dustin. You trying to get this boy hurt? You know what I'm saying? You trying to get that boy hurt, agent. No Topuria. Or wait, what are we talking about? Oh, you talking about Max Holloway. I'm sorry. I'm thinking you talking about motherfucking Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor definitely owes. Yeah, Anonymous. I agree with you 1,000%. He said he kind of owe him too. Chandler been waiting forever for that fight. Yeah, he been waiting for what they call the red panty night. Yeah, he's looking for that red panty night. I think that'd be a good fight for him, man. You know how like when Conor McGregor came off of that layoff and then he fought Cowboy Cerrone and shit like that. And Cowboy Cerrone was known as a threat for a long time, but he was at the tail end of his career, and that was a perfect fight for McGregor to come back to. I think if Conor McGregor is willing to come back, you know what I mean, because he said it on his social media that he's looking to bounce back from this and all of that. And he's a warrior, so of course he's going to have that mentality. I just don't see him going out that way. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to leave so many question marks. Because in Conor McGregor's head is like, I didn't lose because the nigga beat my ass. Like, I lost because I picked up an injury. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like there wasn't even enough time left in the fight for me to be outclassed, to get punished, to get knocked out, to get bruised, bloody. You know what I'm saying? That's not what happened. I mean, this happened due to my own circumstances. Like, this happened because I made a mistake, not because he did anything to me. So I just can't see Conor McGregor walking away after this. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going to, if he has to do the surgery, get the surgery. I could see him, rehabilitating that injury like he's done previously. He's pretty experienced with that by now. And I could see him coming back. You know what I'm saying? Does it have to be Max Holloway? No. I mean, it doesn't have to be Max Holloway. Max Holloway could go ahead and get him another big fight or whatever the case is. But I'm sure Max will win it because that's some good money. You know what I'm saying? They said Max made like 3 M's. Conor made like 30, which is crazy. 5-year layoff and you got 30 M's waiting on you. That's a good job. You know what I mean? But Max will probably get more money if they would do the trilogy. Maybe he'll get 5. Maybe he'll get 6. Who fucking knows? But I could see Conor McGregor coming back and fighting a Michael Chandler. I think that'll be a good comeback fight for him. And Michael Chandler ain't gonna say no. Sambo says he'll never fight again. Damn. So you think he's just gonna go out that way? They definitely robbed the bank, but yeah, they definitely did. And meanwhile, I think Paddy Pimblett, I think he only made like $850,000 from what I saw. I don't know what they made. I was just seeing the reports. They said he didn't even make a mil. But I think like with the, the performance bonuses, he'll probably pass it. But Max Holloway got 3 M's. Conor McGregor got 30. Insane. 30 M's just a step in the octagon. Yeah. I don't think a UFC fighter will ever touch that type of money again. Like, because in order for you to touch more than 30 M's in the octagon, either Dana White has to be gone from the UFC and they just change the whole payment structure, or somebody just ends up being a bigger star than Conor, and I just don't see it happening, man. Like, what Conor McGregor brought to the table was rare, man. First of all, he was white. Let's not act like that shit don't matter. He was white. The motherfucker had an accent. The motherfucker talked trash. And in his younger days, he was very witty with his trash talk. He was very confident. I guess you could say his aura was top tier. The motherfucker could fight. He was winning. What else? What else about Conor? And the motherfucker had swag. He had swag. So he had like the perfect mold to be a fucking superstar in combat sports. You know what I'm saying? How many fucking white boys you know good at trash talk? You can name a few like Larry Bird, Conor McGregor, you know what I mean? And there's probably some other ones you could throw in there and shit like that. But when you got the swag, you know what I'm saying? You actually win in fights, you got skills. You know what I'm saying? People gonna fuck with you, man. Now, if you black, I don't know if you're gonna have that same reality. I don't know if that, you know what I mean, you're gonna have a lot of haters, but Conor McGregor is loved by everybody. It's crazy. Motherfucker ain't come back, like he ain't fighting 5 years, and he packed out an arena, had 20K people coming out to watch him. Like that's superstar shit right there. I don't even know if Floyd could do that right now. Yeah, he was a 2-division champ. Yeah, 45 and 55. I remember that. He got that belt from Jose, and then he ain't never go back down to 45. He was too big for that weight. He killed himself to get to 45. But whatever, you know what I mean? That's just my take on the whole situation. I'm not going to dwell on the MMA scene too long because I am pretty uneducated on the subject. I'm just telling you what I observed, what I believe happened, and what could possibly be next for the two of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Max Holloway. This ain't your fault, brother. I know that's not how the way you wanted to fight the end, but a win is a win at the end of the day. Because if you would have gotten injured, they would have had no problem giving Conor the victory. So, you know what I mean? Take some pride in this W. You know, Conor McGregor, hold your head high. You know what I'm saying? Injuries happen. You can go about with things a few different ways. You could just call it a wrap on your career and you're a fucking first ballot Hall of Famer in the UFC. I mean, the biggest draw in UFC history. Or, you know what I mean? You could get yourself back in the mix, surgery, rehab, get back in training camp, get you a little light touch like a Michael Chandler. And then, you know what I mean, if you lose to Michael Chandler, then that tell you everything you need to know. That means that you ready to go. You packed up. You know what I mean? You finito. You feel me? But if you beat Michael Chandler, you could also walk away knowing that you know what I mean, you got a victory. You know what I mean? You was able to bounce back from injuries and losses and end your career with a good little dub, man. There's nothing wrong with that. You feel what I'm saying? But we'll see in due time what these guys want to do. Dust215 says, I want to see Conor versus Bud in the UFC. Bud already said he's not doing it. He's not doing it. I don't know how Conor made 145 neither. He looked like I don't even know how he did it healthily. I don't think that was healthy weight cuts at all. If you ever seen Conor McGregor on the scale at 145, he didn't even look like himself. He's like a dead man. Like his appearance totally changed. Like he looked like a zombie. Like literally, go look at Conor McGregor. Go on YouTube and put Conor McGregor drained. He does like an interview, and his voice sounds different. His face looks different. Like you wouldn't even know that's Conor. And then when he rehydrates, he looks like himself again. I don't know how he made 145. He was way too big for the weight. And I ain't gonna lie, he was bullying them niggas, man. He was beating the shit out the 145s. His punch resistance was crazy at the weight. His power was crazy at the weight. Then on top of that, he was accurate. He had good movement. He was a problem at 145, man. But them weight cuts was not healthy. As soon as he held on to that division just to win the world title. As soon as he won it, he moved right the fuck up. And 155 was his best weight, just how the way he looked physically, how sharp he looked. And, you know, he was perfect for the weight class, but he got that Floyd Mayweather payday, and that shit just threw him out of the mix completely. Yeah, he did look crazy. Yeah, he did look emaciated at 145. Yes, he did. I don't even know how he was able to get on the scale by himself. Like the strength that dude got is different. Josue says, Yo MAZUMA, what's your thoughts on Collazo versus Sandoval? Well, from what I heard, I don't really know too much about Sandoval, but I did hear that Oscar Collazo is moving up 2 weight classes to fight this guy. I can't really speak on it. I don't really know too much. But if that's what's being done, I'm gonna have to do some research and get back to you on that because I really can't call it. Maybe you could tell me something. I don't know. Rouse said, I remember that clip of him and Tyron Woodley backstage when Conor had that weight cut. Yeah, Conor and Tyron Woodley had issues for a while. 118. Yeah, that's a hell of a mover for Oscar Collazo. Oscar Collazo fight at what? I mean, he be fighting between like, well, he fight at 105, but I think his last fight, the motherfucker moved up to what, like his last fight, I think he was like 100. Well, he went up to like 112. He was like 110. He said, I went through theotherapy to get that thumb back, and it's still the same. It don't move like before. Well, that's what they say. That's what they say. They say that, you know, once you break something, that whatever that body part is, it's not going to function how it was prior to the break. I've heard that shit plenty of times. Fortunately, and I'm not saying it can't happen. It can happen to anybody. I haven't broken a bone. Thank God. Thank God. But to those who have, I've always heard them say the same thing. Like they fingers not the same, they toes not the same, they elbow not the same, you know, they leg not the same. I've heard that so many times. But anyways, man, let's get into y'all boy, Ryan Garcia, man. This dude, one of the most unlikable people in the sport of boxing, in my opinion. Drug cheat, racist. The current WBC welterweight champion of the world, unfortunately, after beating the weakest champion of the division, Mario Barrios. I seen that Ryan Garcia was out there, you know, considering that he's, I guess, about to do a fight with Zuffa Boxing. He's about to fight Conor Ben, who's a Zuffa fighter. He was out there supporting the UFC event. I seen Shakur Stevenson there. I seen Conor Ben there. I seen Ryan there. There was somebody else there as well. I just don't recall who. But anyways, I guess Ryan was out there supporting, and they was doing their little interviews with the media, which is good press. You know what I'm saying? I see what they doing over there. He said, Bella said, "Whose boy? We don't claim him." I hope not. Well, let's be clear. The nation don't claim Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't claim Ryan Garcia. Absolutely not. I was just talking shit. So I'm just trolling a little bit. Bella, don't curse me out on here. But nah, for real though, I seen Shakur Stevenson do an interview saying that he will fight Ryan Garcia, but you know, he's a little bit skeptical of Ryan Garcia, as he should. And he said that if he were to fight Ryan Garcia, he will request what the Haneys are requesting, which is 365 VADA testing. Why? Because Ryan Garcia tested positive for performance enhancement drug in the past. And I think that should be the protocol for everybody who's ever been caught on a performance enhancement drug or steroid, whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see anything completely wrong with that. So, you know, the interviewer, whoever it was that was conducting the interview, ran that by Ryan Garcia, and Ryan Garcia throws a fit. You know what I'm saying? He throws a fit, and then he goes on to say that he's sick of people talking shit, like he's sick of it, and you know, he does drug testing all of the time. And matter of fact, you ain't gotta take my word for it. I don't need to paraphrase. The video's right here for y'all to see. So let's get into the video.
Like an hour ago.
So this is the interview right here. Ryan Garcia, somebody who said that he don't care about belts and shit like that. Back when he was at 135, he out there flexing that WBC belt. And they ask him a question. So shout out to whoever's conducting the interview. I don't know his name, but let's get into it.
So I just interviewed Shakur like an hour ago, and I asked him about whether he would want to box you or not, and he said yes, but he really wanted you to submit to testing.
Yeah, I would love to fight Ryan Garcia. Only thing that I'll say, I seen that Bill and Devin wanted him to do like a certain testing outside of camp, and I think that is something that should be mandatory if we fight too.
That was his biggest thing.
Is he stupid? Like, I'm so tired of him, bro. I've been testing even way before Haney. These guys are delusional. You know,
the Ryan Garcia calling anybody delusional is fucking hilarious and as ironic as can be. But do you see how negatively he responds to it? See, that type of shit right there just lets me know that Ryan Garcia ducks accountability at all times. Because to be honest with you, me personally, if I got caught on performance enhancement drugs and every fighter afterwards is like, yo, if that nigga Mark won't fight me, he gonna have to do 365 out of testing. If I know in my heart I'm a clean fighter and I'm looking for some type of vindication to prove that I'm a clean fighter, then I would submit to the testing as a result of that. I would submit to the testing even if I wasn't ever caught with performance enhancement drugs in my system. But regardless, do you see how negatively he replies to this? He replies negatively to this because it's a thorn in his side that he just wants to ignore, but he can't ever get rid of it. It's a stain on the jacket. And whenever you're outside wearing that jacket, people are going to notice it regardless of how much you try to cover it up. You feel what I'm saying? So he's like, oh, is he stupid? Well, I do testing. Right. You might do testing while you're in camp, but what the Haneys are requesting is 365 VADA testing, the testing that you took in the lead up to the Rolly Romero fight, where you ended up looking like shit. Your speed, your power didn't look there. You know what I mean? Your fighting spirit didn't look there. And you ultimately quit in the fight against Rolly Romero. I ain't going to lie to you. You went into survival mode. You didn't try. And then Rolly went on to beat you with a jab for 12 rounds. And then you blamed it on energy. You blamed it on lack of preparation. You even threw Derrick James under the bus. You know what I mean? You ran back to your daddy for him to be your coach. You know what I'm saying? You did a little shit like that. You blamed everybody but yourself. You know what I'm saying? And ever since that performance against Rolly Romero, everybody has been questioning whether you are performing at a high level naturally or not. You feel what I'm saying? So let's proceed, because he goes on to admit something here that I want everybody to pay attention to.
Understand how scared and terrified they are of me. Every other guy, they don't claim that on, but guess what?
Every other guy isn't testing positive for PEDs like you, Ryan.
I have been testing. I test all the time. He's a freaking idiot. I didn't want to say the F word. Freaking's a little better. He's an idiot. Devin Haney's an idiot. All those guys are idiots. They're just terrified of me. They see my last performance at Barrios, and all of a sudden I'm doing steroids again.
They seen my last performance with Mario Barrios, and all of a sudden I'm doing steroids again. Huh? Ostarine isn't a steroid, to be clear, but I understand exactly what Ryan Garcia is saying. Did this nigga just snitch on himself? All of a sudden, I had the performance with Mario Barrios, and all of a sudden, I'm doing steroids again. Now, would somebody say that or word it that way if they never believed they were on steroids in the first place? I would never say that. That's like saying, like, you in a relationship, right? And and everybody around you is claiming that you cheated on your significant other, but you know in your heart you never did. I would never be like, oh, you see me out with my girl, and all of a sudden you assuming I'm cheating again. No, I wouldn't say that, because I know for real, I didn't cheat. You know what I'm saying? You see, I probably would have worded it in a way where it's like, you see me out with my girl, and now you're assuming that I cheated like last time. Like, because if you're gonna, and the thing is, Ryan can't even say that because he was definitively caught. He can't even say that. It's not a rumor. It's not people speculating. People aren't making assumptions. You have definitively been caught with Ostarine in your system. So that, never mind. Scratch that example. That's a terrible one, because at the end of the day, you know, this ain't an assumption. This is a fact. And when you went to the New York State Athletic Commission, you pled guilty, which basically means you admitted to having this shit in your system. You admitted to taking this performance enhancement drug. You know what I'm saying? You got the public fooled, but we all know what the fuck it is over here. You know what I'm saying? So why would you say it in that way? People gonna have motherfuckers gonna completely ignore this, man. Shout out to the ones that's gonna have a ball with this video right here if you haven't already. This dude basically just let the cat out the bag. Now, that's what happens when you talk too much. This is why you don't speak emotionally, because a lot of the times when you're speaking emotionally, you don't think before you speak. You're just letting out whatever's on your mind. You're venting. You feel what I'm saying? This is why if you're going to be doing dirt, you can't leave a stain. You got to move calculated. If you're going to be out here doing grimy shit, you got to make sure you're covering your steps in the process of that. Ryan Garcia is not intelligent enough. And this is why it's hilarious that he's calling people delusional and calling people idiots, because Ryan Garcia embodies both of those things. Can you believe, and side note, This nigga Ryan Garcia is a compulsive liar. And I think his wife even said that about him before. Like, he just lies about shit that he doesn't need to lie about. Do you know this nigga was out here saying that he wrestled in college? I was like, oh, shit. Right? And I believe, bro, you know, I'm not going to say I believed him, but I was like, oh, really? You know what I mean? Because I come from a wrestling background and all of that. I said, let me see what college Ryan Garcia wrestled for. So when I did my research, I found out Ryan didn't fucking go to college. The nigga never went to college. The nigga dropped out of high school to pursue boxing. Do you know, like, Ryan, do you know that's easy to research? With as famous as you are, you do know that that's easy to fact check. I'm like, yo, this nigga Ryan just be lying. Like, bro, if you're gonna lie about something, you gotta make sure that niggas can't research it and prove you wrong about it. We know, like, you know, we see you lying, right? Shit is crazy. Shit is crazy. But back to this video right here. This nigga said he wrestled at Could Have Been University. That's fucking hilarious. Could have been. That nigga here, when Ryan Lee Golden Boy, he gonna sign with Could Have Been Records. Jesus Christ, that nigga is a stone cold liar. Do you see why Ryan is such an unlikable motherfucker, bro? Drug cheat, racist, liar. Does this nigga do? And then, like, you one of those fake religious niggas too, because you claim you move by the Bible. Oh, God's good all the time, and all the time God is good. Amen. Shout out to my religious brothers and sisters out there that really live by the word. Salute, salute. But this nigga right here, he don't embody none of that, them Christian values that he be out here talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, just everything about this nigga fucked up. Jesus Christ. But let's go back to this video. Let me rewind this back a little further. They see, read the captions. If y'all motherfuckers can't hear, I hope y'all can read these captions. They see my last performance of Barrios.
My last performance of Barrios, all of a sudden I'm doing steroids again.
And all of a sudden, I'm doing steroids again. So this is you indirectly admitting that you did steroids before. PED, steroids, Osterine isn't a steroid, but you get it. This is what happens when you talk too much and you let your feelings and your emotions overshadow your logic. I should not, and this is when your filter, your conscience, whatever you want to call it, this is when your filter is supposed to kick in and be like, yo, let me not say that, because this will be me indirectly admitting something that I know I'm guilty of. Insane.
Bro, shut the fuck up. I've been
he just said he wasn't gonna say the F word, and he just said shut the fuck up. This dude is, he don't even, like, that's how you know he's speaking emotionally. He's not even understanding what he's saying. He's not even paying attention to what he's saying.
training since I was 7 years old. I've been boxing. You guys see me come up the whole time. I've been hurting people since I was 11, 10. I knocked out a grown man at 12. Like,
Cap.
What are you talking about? Damn near give me a bear, I'll beat that. Like, bro, they're pissing me off because they know they're lying. They're bullshit.
What are they lying about? He said they lying. Nigga, ain't nobody lying. They just said they want you to do additional testing if you fight them, dickhead. Why are you so triggered by that? Let me play that video back. For those of y'all who just got into the building, let me play that video back. How you gonna end that shit with saying that they're lying? Nigga, you are a liar. If anybody lying, it's you. And you look little as shit with that big ass belt on your shoulder. Dumbass. You must be cycling off.
So I just interviewed Shakur like an hour ago, and I asked him about whether he would want to box you or not, and he said yes, but he really wanted you to submit to testing.
Yeah, I would love to fight Ryan Garcia. Only thing that I'll say, I seen that Bill and Devin wanted him to do like a certain testing outside of camp, and I think that is something that should be mandatory if we fight too.
That was his biggest thing.
Is he stupid? Like, I'm so tired of him, bro. I've been testing even way before Haney. These guys are delusional. You understand how scared and terrified they
Let me pause this real quick because I can tell some people don't really understand the difference in testing. So VADA is the voluntary anti-doping agency. That's what VADA stands for, right? Now I don't know every single detail, but I'm gonna break it down in a way so you can understand what is going on. So VADA, since Ryan Garcia is a WBC champion, I think he must enroll in VADA. However, there's different types of testing. There's testing that's more expensive because it's more extensive, and then there's the standard testing. Now the standard testing is what Ryan Garcia has been doing, and those type of testings occur when he is in camp. Now, we already know that most of these guys are only fighting once or twice a year, so there's a lot of off time. There's a lot of off time where VADA's not taking place. You see what I'm saying? So there's this thing where fighters, historically in the past, have, during the off season, when VADA's not around to check up on them, they're doping. They're using these performance enhancement drugs. Whatever they feel like they could use some improvement on, they'll use a steroid in accordance to whatever it is that they need help with. If they have trouble with their stamina, they might fuck with a PED that gives them stamina. If they want bigger punching power, they'll fuck with a PED that makes them stronger. If they need, you know what I'm saying? If they need to get bigger in order to move up into a weight class, most likely they're going to fuck with shit that's going to enhance their testosterone levels. You get where I'm going with this, right? Cool. Ryan Garcia, I mean, we're not going to speak about Ryan Garcia. We're going to keep this general. There's fighters who would dope during the off season, and right before they go into camp, a few weeks before they go into camp, they will cycle off of the drugs. Now, that is a whole process. These dudes be hiring chemists. These dudes be hiring people who are really well-versed in PEDs and stuff like that. And what they'll do is they'll dope, and then they'll cycle off of it. So by the time they get into training camp and VADA testing is something that goes into effect, they will already receive all of the benefits of that drug. You see what I'm saying? So there's a whole process. There's a whole system on how to use PEDs and get away with it. That's why when these dudes be getting popped, a lot of the time it's probably because they miscalculated the time. Maybe they put too much of the substance in their body, so it took a little longer to cycle off or be removed from your system or whatever the case is, or maybe they got surprised with a drug test a little earlier than anticipated and they got caught up while attempting to cycle off. Now, Ryan Garcia, in the lead up to the Devin Haney fight, this motherfucker had so many different masking agents in his system. I'm surprised he got caught with the shit in the first place. Motherfucker is smoking marijuana, which is known for being a masking agent for drugs in your system. This dude is on camera fucking pumping IVs into his veins, which is also known as a masking agent. They try to get Floyd Mayweather in trouble for that in the lead up to the Manny Pacquiao fight because he was taking IVs without an exemption, and the reason why that's suspicious is because it's a masking agent. But nobody ever really says that about Ryan Garcia, though. See how the standard's completely different when it's not a black fighter or when it is a black fighter, whatever. So Ryan Garcia, when it's time to remove all these masking agents from his system and drain and take all of the water out of his body in order to make weight, that's when the PEDs pop up. So he was like, "Oh, it was a supplement that a strength and conditioning coach gave me. I needed to lose a couple pounds, blah blah blah." And that's why you seen that in my system. So if you took it the day of the weigh-in, you know what I'm saying? If you only took it the day of the weigh-in, then why were y'all you said, oh, it was only like a tenth of a millionth of a billionth of a milligram. Bro, if you took it the day of the weigh-in and it was caught in your system the day of the weigh-in, wouldn't it be a much stronger dosage than that? No. You had this shit in your system previously. You were cycling, you were cycling off of it, or at least using these masking agents to drain that shit out of your system. You thought that when you drained all the water from your system that the PEDs would go with it. And no, some of that shit stuck around and you got caught. That's the reality of the situation. So You know what I'm saying? Ryan Garcia, after that, he got a big target on his back. Everybody's suspicious of him. And they demanded that Ryan Garcia do 365 out of testing. Now, this is the more expensive testing, but it's a lot more strict. That means that even when you're out of camp, you're doing this drug testing. You feel what I'm saying? Whether you got a fight sign, whether you don't have a fight sign, you are going to be in 365 testing. That's what the Haneys have requested. That's what Ryan Garcia did. And we've seen a noticeably different version of Ryan Garcia, not just from a performance standpoint, but from a physical standpoint. Remember when he moved up in weight and looked smaller? He moved up to 147 to challenge Rolly Romero. And you notice how he visibly looked smaller. Insane. How you move up in weight and look smaller? How you look huge against Devin Haney, then when you fight Rolly, you look skinny as hell. You look bony as a motherfucker. Very suspicious. Then you know that intensity that he had in the Haney fight wasn't there. The speed wasn't there. The power wasn't there because he hit Rolly a couple times. Rolly ain't go nowhere, and Rolly is supposedly known as Chinny. Looked like he didn't want to be in there. He getting dropped. He looking like horse shit. You feel what I'm saying? Then he doesn't do the 365 testing anymore, and then all of a sudden he got his speed, he got his power, he got his ferocity back against Mario Barrios. Then he expects people to not request VADA testing or 365 VADA testing, after the fact. Make this shit make sense. So he's calling people delusional. He's calling people liars. He's calling people idiots because it's some shit that he brought upon himself. It makes no sense whatsoever. Naja said his dad was in his corner saying, "Don't worry about your cardio. It's obvious." Yeah, and that's probably why he fucked with the clenbuterol. Not clenbuterol. That's Canelo. Osterine, because Osterine, from what I heard, is known for boosting your stamina. Well, let me take that back. Osterine isn't known for direct, stamina or cardiovascular benefits and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, Ryan Garcia was getting tired in that ring. But what it is known for is recovery. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to give you stamina, but you'll bounce back quicker if you had that Osterine in your system, which kind of makes sense because there was times where Ryan Garcia would get tired, and then all of a sudden he'll catch this burst of energy and then come back and fire off a combination and drop Devin Haney. Then he be tired and then he lose a couple rounds. Then he spark up some energy and then he drop Devin Haney again. Like, that shit just makes all the sense in the world to me. I don't know about y'all, but it makes sense that Osterine was the main thing in his system. From what I heard, there was two things, but there was only able to trace one, definitively. But that should just make all the sense in the world. Yeah, Naja said, yeah, but if you take Osterine, I wouldn't be surprised if you try other shit too. Yeah, like if a nigga smoke crack, you think he wouldn't try heroin? You think he wouldn't try K2? You think he wouldn't smoke what? Whatever the fuck, dust, whatever you want to call it. No, but yeah. If you're willing to go that far, you willing to fuck with other shit too. Absolutely. Let me play this shit back.
So I just interviewed Shakur like an hour ago, and I asked him about whether he would want to box you or not, and he said yes, but he really wanted you to submit to testing.
Yeah, I would love to fight Ryan Garcia. Only thing that I'll say, I seen that Bill and Devin wanted him to do like a certain testing outside of camp, and I think that is something that should be mandatory if we fight too.
That was his biggest thing.
Is he stupid? Like, I'm so tired of him, bro. I've been testing even way before Haney. These guys are delusional. You understand how scared and terrified they are of me? Every other guy, they don't claim that on, but guess what? I have been testing. I test all the time. He's a freaking idiot. I didn't want to say the F word. Freaking's a little better. He's an idiot. Devin Haney's an idiot. All those guys are idiots. They're just terrified of me. They see my last performance at Barrios, and all of a sudden I'm doing steroids again. Bro, shut the fuck up. I've been training since I was 7 years old. I've been boxing. You guys seen me come up the whole time. I've been hurting people since I was 11, 10. I knocked out a grown man at 12. Like, what are you talking about? Damn near give me a bear. I'll beat that. Like, bro, they're pissing me off because they know they're lying. They're bullshit.
That's Ryan Garcia for you. That's Ryan Garcia for you. But yeah, man, that's him just basically admitting to being on performance enhancement drugs. Because why would you say steroids again if you genuinely in your heart felt like you didn't use it in the first place or took it knowingly? They see my Mario Barrios performance and they think I'm on steroids again. Again? This is why if you go and do J. Cole said this shit in a song. It's called Knock on Wood. If you go and do dirt and you can't leave a stain, man. If you're gonna be doing grimy shit out here, you gotta make sure you covering your track, brother. Can't let your emotions take over your logic, man. Real men don't do that, or at least try their best not to indulge in that. Because when you do, you end up snitching on yourself and admitting to doing grimy shit like that. Now, we don't respect that in the sport of boxing, and I hope that every opponent moving forward requests that you do strict testing in your fights. That should be your punishment for the rest of your boxing career. And for real, if you was a clean motherfucker, that wouldn't even be a punishment. But considering that you a dirty motherfucker, every fucking fighter, especially big fights, whether you fight Teofimo, Broly rematch, fucking Conor Ben, even though he's a fucking drug T2, he probably wouldn't even care. Fucking Ryan, Devin rematch. Shakur, Devin rematch, whoever. And when you go up to 54, I want all that hating you doing with Jaron Ennis too. I mean, you better be available for that smoke when the fuck you go up there, because eventually you're gonna go up to 54. Hopefully, Boo's still around. You can go ahead. All that bullshit, Boo's overrated, and you pick Xander by KO and all that. Like, you clearly hating on the nigga. Probably feel away about him because he black, to be honest with you, because we heard you say disgusting things about black fighters. And you always the one to speak out against black fighters anyway, and then try to act like, oh, it's just my opinion. No, you have a deep resentment towards black people, just like your Latino brother Teofimo Lopez. And you hate the fact that black fighters are on top of the game right now. They getting more exposure than y'all. They doing bigger things than y'all. They doing legacy defining things than you guys are. So whatever moment y'all have, y'all go ahead and try to throw shade on their name. But all you doing is just making them more relevant with your stupid ass. Nasia said boxing needs to crack down harder on testing. You know why they'll never do that, Nasia? You know why they'll never do that? Because it'll truly expose how corrupt the sport is and how dirty most of these fighters are, and it'll fuck with their pockets. They're not in the game to lose money, man. So if they could hide some shit in order to keep that motherfucking money running in, that's what they gonna do. Some niggas gonna get caught here and there and shit like that, but if they did hard testing on everybody, that should fuck around and destroy the sport, because it's going to expose how, I'm going to keep it real, a lot of these motherfuckers is on that shit. A lot of these motherfuckers is on that shit. I see some shit sometimes, I'll be like, I get to really thinking. Like, damn, how this motherfucker just threw 1,000 punches? How is he not tired? How he got this much muscle at the weight? How he do that? How is he that ripped up and he didn't look like that before? I just be so like, shit should be suspicious, bro. Said Boxiana. Who's that? They want them to cheat and not get caught. Yeah, but I believe that. I believe that. Yeah, Bella Faith said the WBC clean boxing program is underfunded, so the testing is sporadic. It's not Olympic style testing at all. Yeah, and you know what? First of all, the WBC not. I mean, these motherfuckers don't care about people testing positive anyway. You know why? Because every time they do an investigation on a fighter, especially when they're a big name, for being a fucking drug cheat, they always find them innocent. They always, bro, I've never seen them niggas investigate or do some type of investigation on a dirty fighter and then conclude that they were knowingly taking performance enhancement drugs. Every time I've ever seen them niggas do an investigation on a fighter, they always be like, oh, after some investigation. Bro, what is that? Somebody need to ask WBC. What does that investigation consist of? What investigation do y'all do that y'all can sit back and be like, you know what? He ain't do it. How can you determine that? You're not in their camp. You're not with them 24/7. You're not a part of their team. How are you able to determine that somebody took that unknowingly? I would love to know what that investigation consists of. I would love for somebody to interview Mauricio and ask him that. Never. That's actually a great question. When has the WBC ever called a nigga cheat? Never. I'm gonna keep it real, bro. Them niggas raise clenbuterol levels. That means they're enabling fighters that's had that in their system, knowing that that's a PED. Like, come on now, bro. The WBC only give a fuck. The WBC need to stand for we bout cash. That's all they give a fuck about. That's all they give a fuck about. Anything in that line they pockets, they with it. Anything else that go against their pockets, they'll do whatever they can. But they play good roles. They're like, yo, let's make it seem like we stand up for this type of shit, even though we really don't. Let's act like we give a fuck about people testing positive for PEDs. Let's act like we care for a clean sport when all we give a fuck about is making sure that we got that motherfucking bag coming through. That's all we care about. Simple. But I'm going to take a little bathroom break, y'all. I'll be right back. We back. Buenas noches, buenas noches, buenas noches. Anyways, let me see what the questions is. I really hope that y'all stuck around for me to answer them. That's me interrupting myself. Somebody by the name of Alejandra V1212 says, Mazuma, fighters used to fight so many times a year. Do you think fighters are fighting once or twice a year because most of them are cycling PEDs? That's a great fucking question. That's a great question. It could be that. Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be a reason for certain fighters. I'm not going to say all fighters, because the reality is there are some fighters that are out here moving clean. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's it's very few. I think there's more that's being dirty than actually being clean, but there are some exceptions to the rule, in my opinion. That could be a reason, but I also think, I think it's also a business thing, Alejandro. I think these fighters nowadays, especially at a high level, they request so much money that, it may take time for, networks to pull that money together. You know what I'm saying? It might, you know what I'm saying? And then there's fighters who, although they only fight once or twice a year, the training camps are brutal, and they may be, in training camp for 8 to 12 weeks. That could be 2 to 3 months. So, that could be it. But I think it's more of a business thing more than anything. You know what I'm saying? So I think because of that, I think it's because fighters demand so much money nowadays, that I guess they just space it out. You know what I'm saying? Because, if these promoters be like, yo, we guarantee you $12 million a fight, and we guaranteeing you 2 fights a year, you know what I'm saying? That's $24 million that they got to put together in order for you to step into the ring. They may not be able to, they might not have access to that if you fight 4, 5, 6 times a year. It may require you to take a pay cut if you want to be that, if you want to be that consistent. That's what I think it is. So, it is what it is. That's what I think of it. But shit, that could be a reason. I think the reason why fighters fighting, once or twice a year, is really because of the people that put the money up, not necessarily because of the fighters. Because a lot of the times I hear these fighters say that they want to fight more often, but the way the business of boxing and how the way it's set up, it's only built for them to fight once or twice a year and still see the money that they want. A lot of these guys will trade in activity for big paydays. Like a lot of these guys are not going to trade in pay cuts in order to fight 3, 4 times a year. Some guys not going to do that. Now, Canelo Alvarez could fight 3, 4 times a year and still get paid exactly what he wants, but not everybody has a star power to follow and, the superstar status that Canelo has. So he's an exception to the rule. Same thing with Inoue. He could fight 3, 4 times a year and still get paid what he wants because this motherfucker's a god in Tokyo. You know what I'm saying? But if you're just a good ticket seller or whatever the case is, twice a year is probably the most you're going to get. Let me see what the people saying. Nazer said, Tyson Fury has cycled PEDs. He claims retirement so he could cycle without getting tested. Yeah, I've seen people do that. And Tyson Fury has actually tested positive. Like he's failed tests. I think him and either his brother or his cousin, whoever Huey Fury is, I don't know if that's his brother or his cousin, but they both got caught with the same shit in their system. You know what I mean? And no lie, y'all can look this shit up. He claimed that shit came from, he was like, oh, nandrolone, that's a substance that's producing, that your body produces on its own. Yeah, but you had abnormal levels to where your body couldn't possibly produce that on its own. That's why it was alarming. Then on top of that, y'all credited wild boar testicles, wild boar balls. For why? I guess that's what they was eating. They went out of their way to eat wild boar testicles. For why? They tested positive for PEDs. Then when they went ahead and asked, I believe they went and they asked the farmer, the farmer denied it. You know what I'm saying? And then I think he turned back around and then it was like, oh, never mind, blah, blah. Probably took some payola and all that shit. But whatever. I believe that. I'm trying to tell you. Tyson. So let's break down Tyson Fury. You a fat dude. Let's keep it real. He's fat, completely out of shape. And you could box on your toes for 12 rounds straight and not get tired. How many heavyweights you know doing that? And you 6'9". You 6'9", 280 pounds. Probably heavier than that, depending on the night. And you boxing on your toes for 12 rounds. Moving like a fucking welterweight. Like a 140 guy. You could do that. How many heavyweights you know doing that? Like Gerald Miller. He got caught. The nigga was a heavyweight, 300 pounds. 300 pounds. And was throwing 100 punches around. How you doing that? That's not unusual to y'all. Y'all got to pay attention to people, man. When I seen Gerald Miller, when he was beating up on he beat up like Gerald Washington, he beat Gerald ass, bro. That nigga fucked Gerald Washington up. And there was another one, he bodied somebody else. I forgot who it was. This was back when I think he was with Dimitri Salita. And bro, this dude would not stop throwing punches. Now, Gerald Miller, he still got that high volume type of style, but you notice he get tired now. Like in his last fight, you see he still put that pressure. He still let his hands go, but you peep, he get tired now. Bro, when he was coming up, this nigga would throw 100 punches around and still have a full tank. I was like, how the fuck you doing that? Then on top of that, he getting hit square on his chin and he ain't feeling none of that. Heavyweight getting cracked by another heavyweight and he just walking through the punches. Bro, I'm glad he ain't fight AJ. I ain't gonna lie. I'm glad he ain't fight AJ because he would have fought AJ that night in Madison Square Garden instead of Andy. He probably would have really hurt AJ, man. Trying to tell you, AJ probably would have knocked him out. Who knows? But with that type of shit he was on, that nigga Gerald Miller was low-key a superhero. And nobody was like questioning it or nothing. I'm like, bro, y'all niggas not. This nigga got baby titties. Like, they got baby titties, fat, 300 pounds. Nigga brag about eating cheeseburgers all the time. Throwing 100 punches around. Nobody suspicious. Like, you know the nigga a fraud. This nigga was wearing a hairpiece his whole career. Nigga had a man unit on his whole career. That shit had to fall off him to accept that he was bald. Y'all niggas believe him? Y'all trust him? Come on, man. Shit crazy. That's what I'm trying to say. J. Cash, a lot of these dudes be on that shit. Bro, a lot of these niggas is cheaters, bro. Tell me. And it'll keep getting exposed. I heard this one nigga for a long time. I ain't going to say who because then it's going to expose. It's going to automatically expose who I'm talking about. But there's been some guys that have, for a long time, had that PED shit on their body. And it's never been proven, so we can't say anything. But, bro, I've been hearing that shit in the gym for the longest. Niggas who done sparred with them, niggas who been around them, they all say that them niggas is on that shit. Specifically one of them. But I'm going to say this. It's a fighter that at one time was like a boxer. Then out of nowhere, he just became a puncher. Now, y'all can leave that shit up. I'm going to leave, you know what I mean? Y'all can go ahead and try to guess. I ain't going to say who. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to get no cease and desist letters and no lawsuits or nothing like that. You know, this channel getting bigger, so niggas is watching. But there's been rumors about that nigga for a while. Been rumors about that nigga for a long time. But he ain't never been caught, so we can't say it. You know what I'm saying? I can't say what weight class, bro. It's going to reveal it. It's going to reveal it. I shouldn't even have said that because I don't like having y'all guessing and all that, but I'm just being honest. Like, a lot of these niggas is on that shit. And I hate the fact that as a boxing fan, I got to admit that because I would like to think that everybody clean, but you know what I mean? I'd be delusional just like this Ryan nigga if I thought that. Under or over 150 pounds. All right, I'm going to say over. Shout out to Alejandra, though. I think you knew. We got another female. We starting to pick up a little female fan base now. We got Smoochie. We got Marissa. We got Bella Faith, and now we got Alejandra. That's what's up. Salute. But I'm gonna say over 150 pounds, but I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got any last questions for me before we get up out of here? Nostalgic, we already spoke about Tyson Fury. We all know he was on that shit. Nigga was just a cheater, like all around the board. Nostalgic said Berlanga need to get back on that shit. So you think he was on it? This is all alleged. My fault. He said, "Yo, Mark, isn't it crazy how there still isn't no undercard for Joshua versus Pranga?" Well, if nobody's announced at this point, I think they fighting like in 2 weeks. So if it's not announced by now, then expect to have a shitty undercard. Is there going to be an undercard? Yes, but I highly doubt that it'll be anybody notable. Because if it was somebody notable, they would have been said that was a part of the card. You know what I mean? So they could go ahead and get more people to tune in and watch. I think the shit gonna be on Netflix or something. Or is that Tyson Fury? I don't even know. But regardless, yeah. Just don't expect it to be a crazy undercard. Don't expect to have no top names on there whatsoever. And if they do, then they did a serious disservice for their promotion. If they got big notable names on that undercard and they don't say anything about it until the week of the fight or now, then that just means that they didn't really care too much about promoting this card. That's what it sounds like to me. A lot of people, yeah, nostalgic. A lot of people saying that they're kind of lucky that he got injured. He was going to get tore up by Max. That's what a lot of people were saying. A lot of people, my one homie was like, "Yo, bro, like he lucky he got injured because if he didn't, Max would have did him dirty. Probably would have. He probably would have. It just sucked that we'll never know." You know what I'm saying? My boy Des said, "Is Core going to zoo for a duck?" I think it's too early to call that right now, brother. I think we got to wait and see exactly what his moves are going to be because we could call him a duck now, but let's say he announces his next fight as Devin Haney. Then it's like, is he really a duck? That's why, like, I don't really like to make assumptions if, you know, the shit ain't play out yet. Because I had a lot of people, is Eddie Hearn, does Boots need to leave Eddie Hearn? Does should Boots just go somewhere else? Is Eddie Hearn doing his job? I'm like, bro, let the nigga do his job so we could see if he doing his job. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up? Like, just let the nigga, you know what I'm saying? Let him try to do some shit. And everybody, oh man, Eddie Hearn ain't doing nothing for Boots, and Boots can't get a fight. And within 2 fights at 154, he unified, sold out the Barclays, 16K. Got to give Eddie Hearn credit for that. So, I mean, you just gotta let shit play out sometimes. I think that if you're like a regular name at Zuffa, you're gonna have trouble getting those big names in the ring with you. Or, you know what I mean, I think they just gonna keep you. You know what I mean, they'll keep you busy, but you ain't gonna have like no big ass fights. They're not gonna take that opportunity to, you know, do a cross promotion or anything like that. But if you're a star like a Shakur Stevenson, a Devin Haney, or whatever the case is, I think that even a Conor Ben, I think that they'll be willing to make those big fights happen. So I think that I don't think Shakur would have signed with Zuffa if he wasn't promised that, you know, they'll still make big fights happen. I think eventually Devin Haney's going to announce his, you know, deal with Zuffa. I think that that's on the way. To me, it sounds like they're not going to announce it until Devin Haney's fight date comes around. I think that's when they're going to announce the signing. Because from what I heard, they've been negotiating for a few months, but it seems like everything is signed, sealed, and delivered. They just waiting for an opponent. I think once they announce Devin Haney's next opponent, then they're going to announce the Zuffa signing to go along with that. You know what I'm saying? Because Devin Haney said it. He was like, bro, like, yeah, I mean, y'all reading too much into this shit. Just wait until I drop my fight date. So that's what we going to have to do. That's what we're going to have to do. But I'm not going to call Devin Haney. I'm not going to call Shakur a duck. Yeah, he been sounding like one with this whole 44 bullshit, and I don't want to step on my brother's toes. You know what I'm saying? That little bitch shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And then completely ducked O'Shaquie Foster, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You gave that nigga your word and you went against it. Because, you know what I mean? You was, oh, fight my little bro Ray. And then he fight your little bro Ray, beat him. And you said that if he beat Ray, that you'll give him an opportunity. You never did. So you got to make sure your next move, your best move, because if your opponent's a fucking Rayo Venezuela or whatever the case is, then, you know what I mean? We ain't respecting that shit. You know what I'm saying? You said you wasn't interested in the Rayo Venezuela fight anyway, from what I saw recently. So you can't say that, then turn around and fight Rayo and be like, oh, he's an amazing fighter. He just beat Edwin De Los Santos. Huh? Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit. It got to be big fights, bro. Like, y'all niggas only fighting once, twice a year. You know what I mean? So y'all make sure don't one, 2 fights a year. It's big fights. Now, if y'all motherfuckers is fighting 4 or 5 times a year, then, you know what I mean, you can settle for little opponents here and there. But, you know what I mean, if y'all only going to be fighting once, twice a year at best, you need to be giving us the biggest fights available. Simple and plain. Nostalgic says Shakur do not want El Rayo for some reason. Bro, I wouldn't mind the Rayo fight if there wasn't anything better out here. There's better fights out here than Rayo. Rayo could go ahead and, I mean, fight some other guys. You feel me? Like, if Shakur don't got no other options, like if the nigga can't get a Devin, if he can't get that Devin fight or whatever the case is, then, or he can't get that O'Shaquie fight. I like the O'Shaquie fight better than the Rayo fight. If you can't get the O'Shaquie fight, then, you know, you try to get Raymond Mortati. He about to fight Conceição. Then maybe you could look in Rayo's direction just on some stay busy shit. But nah, bro, like we not doing that. And then when you're listing the biggest names that you could fight, I think you named like 4 people. You named Devin. You named who was the 4 people he named? He named Gary Antoine. He named like 4 people, bro. Ryan. I forgot who else. But that's what he targeting. So, you know what I mean, it is what it is. I don't really care for the Rayo fight. But if there's no other available option, then I wouldn't be mad at Rayo. He named Lamont Roach, yep, which is a great fight. But we got to see if Roach beats Cepeda, man. I'm trying to tell y'all, like, can he beat Cepeda? Yes, but I don't think that shit going to be as simple as people making it seem. Cepeda, a tough-ass style. He a tough-ass style, man. That's somebody else that I look at him and I'll be like, no accusations, none of that. But when I watch Cepeda, I'll be like, interesting. Dana is realizing he has to work with other organizations, not against them. Facts. He thought, oh, I got Turkey Al-Sheikh with me. He going to pay for everything, and I won't have to deal with these promoters, bro. That shit not that simple. That shit not that simple because Turkey could have all the money. You know what I mean? They're still, motherfuckers still going to move how they want to move. You know what I mean? They still going to give you a run for your bread. They still got fighters under contract. you got to see these niggas. If not, then you're being selfish and you don't really have your fighter's best interest. If you don't have your, if you don't have your fighter's best interest, then that's going to discourage a lot of people from wanting to sign with you. Me personally, if I have a promoter that, you know what I'm saying, every time I try to get a big fight, he always clashing with the promoters and he only want to deal with his own fighters that's under his stable and shit like that. And I know I could go across the street and get a fucking few bags and my fighter's going against it. That's going to be a promoter that I wouldn't want to deal with or be in business with anymore. You know what I mean? Signing with Zuffa is a good step for you if you are up and coming, you need some activity, you need some exposure and all of that. But if you're at a Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis, Boots, Ennis level, you know what I'm saying? It's highly questionable at this point whether Dana White could lock in those big fights for you. We just gonna have to see. I feel like the only reason why niggas locking in with Dana White is because they know Turkey Al-Sheikh behind them. And Turkey got a lot of influence over there at Zuffa. So I think that's what's getting Dana these big signings. But if Dana keeps acting like he don't need nobody and he gonna do this shit on his own, he gonna have a tough time being in the boxing industry. It's not the UFC where you could just say, fuck Bellator, fuck one championship. All my fighters over here, we doing all in-house shit. Boxing too big for that. They call boxing the wild, wild west, bro. I mean, it's a bunch of promoters with a huge stable of fighters, and you're not going to be able to sign them all. There's going to be promoters that's going to secure these big names before you even get to them, and you're going to have to deal with them in order to make some money. But Dana White had no problem taking Conor over to boxing to fight Floyd Mayweather. He ain't mind doing a cross promotion then when he was making millions of dollars. He better be able to do the same shit for his fighters that signed under his promotional stable. That's all I'm saying. My boy Anonymous said, I just think Roach knows this is his last shot. He has the tools for the job. I really just think he has to fight the right fight. Yeah, that's what it come down to. That's what it come down to for Lamont. You know what I'm saying? But I do think Lamont got like this macho man complex where he just feels the need to prove to his opponent that he could push them back, that he's stronger, that he's more aggressive, that he could push you, that he could walk you down. When in reality, you don't have to do that. Your main objective is to make sure that you are the smarter fighter, that you are steps ahead of your opponent, that you're being yourself and you don't have to step into their lane in order to defeat them. To be real with you, that's low IQ type of shit. When you're like, oh, I know I'm a better boxer than you. I know I move better than you. I know I can outbox you, but guess what? I'm going to fight your fight and I'm going to beat you at that. That's why I didn't like Errol Spence's performance against Sean Porter. Because I know that if he would have just boxed him, how he boxed Mikey Garcia and shit like that, he would have had an easier time. But what did he want to do? Prove to Sean Porter that he could fight his fight and beat him. Yeah, you beat him, but you took damage as a result of that, and you made the fight closer than what it needed to be. That's low IQ shit to me. So if Lamont Roach goes in there with Cepeda and he tries to prove to Cepeda that he could bang with him, and Cepeda's gonna outwork him. I'm telling you, like that Roach isn't accustomed to that high output. He had trouble and certain rounds with Isaac Cruz volume. Cepeda got a whole different gear to him. Now he don't punch as hard as Isaac Cruz, but he let them bitches go more than Isaac Cruz. And I'm seeing situations where Roach is shelling up and he's allowing Isaac to throw a 6-7 punch combination and he's defending it all, but he's not responding offensively. So them points are piling up and he's losing rounds as a result of that. That's why he got to draw. So there needs to be a mental change with Lamont Roach where he's telling himself, all right, man, I already done proved to Gervonta I could punch with him and I could walk him down. I already proved to Isaac Cruz that I could punch with him. I could walk him down. I'm gonna prove to Cepeda that I'm the better fighter than him. I box better than him. I'm more skilled than him. He gonna fight my fight. I'm not fighting his fight. If he has that shift in mentality, he could beat Cepeda. But the moment that he start feeling all macho and be like, you know what, let's rumble, then he's gonna get pieced up. That's what I think is going to happen. Well, that's what I think can happen. I'm rooting for Roach. I want him to win because I want to see him in those other big fights with the Shakurs, Gervonta rematch. You know, I want to see him in the mix at 135, 140. I like Lamont Roach. But there needs to be a change in mentality in order to give him a higher probability of winning. It's going to be a tough fight regardless. You know what I'm saying? But like in previous fights, his mindset is what has hurt him more than any of his opponents. He likes to fight to the level of his competition, not above it. Never above it. He never seems to go a gear above his opponent. And by the time he starts showing gears, the fight's already fucking done. So Roach got some adjustment to make, man, because this is a tough style. Not the best fighter, but it's a tough style. This is going to be the last question, man. Shout out to my boy Tricks in the building, always coming through, wanting to know my opinion on things. He said, Mazuma, are you skeptical about David Benavidez being on PEDs? Or is he a freak of nature with a gas tank and the volume punching? Well, I think David got recreational issues. I don't think he had, I don't suspect him of being on PEDs. First of all, his body doesn't really show it. Because, you know, you're a little flabby motherfucker. But, you know, Tyson Fury's a flabby motherfucker and he a drug cheat. So that's not really a good explanation. But David been fighting like that since he was a kid. Like, I've seen footage of him when he was a young boy boxing. And, you know, he was a 14, 15-year-old beating up on pros. I think that his abilities is shit that he been showing since he was a kid. So unless he been on that shit since he was a young boy, I don't really believe that. And plus, David trains hard as fuck. This dude be in camp for like 5 months straight. What the fuck he said that he did like an 18-week training camp? I'm like, bro, what? Like you in camp that long? Oh, I ain't had sex for 5 months. I ain't had sex for 6 months. He said that shit on the Donza Project. He said some wild shit like that. I said, damn, you went half the year without pussy so you could train. He just got a different type of work ethic. And when you watch David Benavidez train, all he does is work on output, speed, combinations. So I think that what we see in David Benavidez is his prep, like a result of his preparation. You know what I'm saying? Do I think Cepeda could stop him? I don't think Cepeda could stop Roach. I think Roach a little bit too durable for that, but he can get outworked. What do you think Cepeda needs to do to win? What does he need to change? I don't think Cepeda could really change anything. I think what you see is what you get with Cepeda. You know what I'm saying? Come forward, aggressive, you know, volume puncher that, you know, breaks his opponents down with accumulation. I just think he needs to be himself. But what Cepeda has to avoid is, you know, staying on the line too long and running into one of Lamont's nasty counters, because Lamont is a nasty counter puncher, especially with them uppercuts. Don't get caught with an uppercut you don't see, because you might fall face down, ass up, pause. So you got, you know, I just think that Cepeda got to be responsible with his defense and be aware of the counters that's coming back, because if he doesn't, he could get hurt. He could get knocked out. You know what I mean? Like, you got dropped by Tevin Farmer, bro. No disrespect, but you got dropped by Tevin Farmer, bro. So I don't think you could really afford to get hurt by a nigga who be buckling niggas like Gervonta Davis and Isak Cruz and shit like that. He got respectable power. So the only thing with Cepeda is he got to be himself. You know what I mean? But, you know, bring the defense back after the offense. That's, you know what I mean? His style is his style. It's not like Cepeda's going to turn into an outboxer overnight. That's not who he is. That's not in his DNA. That's not going to happen. The only fight David has ever had almost a defined physique was when he weighed in against Plant. That was because that motherfucker he was feeling, he had to cut all that shit to make weight. He had to get rid of all that fat to make weight. That's what 68 was getting a little tough for David to get to. So he ain't had no choice but to get rid of that fat. Y'all said, all right, this is going to be the last question, y'all. He said, who your top 5 favorite boxers right now? Well, y'all already know my 3, and the last 2 always changes. But as of right now, you know, the top 3 ain't in no particular order. I like all of these guys the same. Pause. That was crazy. Jaron Ennis, David Benavidez, Bam Rodriguez. Bam, Boots, Benavidez, 3 Bs. Those are my top 3 favorite fighters in the sport today. Then number 4, I'm gonna go with Abdullah Mason. I really like Abdullah Mason, man. I love his style. Then number 5, I like Moses Atama, man. I'm gonna say, I think that he has a lot of potential. I think he could be heavyweight champion of the world. And I like his toolbox. I like what he brings to the I like what he brings to the table. I like how the way he measures with his lead hand, his hand speed, the level changes, the feints. He's very promising, man. Very accurate, good counter punching as well. That Jermaine Franklin performance, I watched that fight over and over again. And Moses Atama is the truth, man. I think it's, hopefully everything, he stays focused and, they continue to move him the right way. Because this kid right here, man, if he keeps developing his craft and stays a student, stays hungry and all that, I don't think anybody at heavyweight gonna be fucking with dude, bro. I think he gonna wipe these old niggas the fuck off the grid if he keep doing what he doing. But anyways, that's my live for the night, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and showed love. As always, if y'all can go ahead and hit the like button on the way out, that'll be very much appreciated. I'll be back at y'all with another live, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow to continue cooking up on what's going on in the boxing world, man. Until then, I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.